this kind of like perfectionist mentality, like people pleasing and all of that, and working very hard to let go of that and realize like some days are going to be good. Some days, done is better than perfect. You just do what you can and just keep going.
Hello and welcome back to the Blissful Mompreneur podcast. I'm your host, Christina Hall, and I am so grateful you're tuning in today. One of the biggest worries I hear from pregnant entrepreneurs is how to keep their businesses visible while taking time off for maternity leave. And if you've ever wondered how to keep your Instagram working for you without being glued to your phone, then this episode is for you. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Sydney O'Brien, a powerhouse in the world of Instagram strategy for female entrepreneurs. Sydney is a certified Instagram strategist who specializes in helping busy moms turn Instagram into a powerful sales tool without spending all day online. As a military spouse and homeschooling mom of 4, she understands firsthand the challenge of balancing business, motherhood, and life's ever-changing seasons. Through her Plan It, Post It, Profit Challenge, she empowers mompreneurs to simplify their marketing, create strategic content, and grow their businesses without burning out. And I can't wait to dive into today's conversation. Sydney, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take us beyond your bio. What inspired you to get started with Instagram strategy?
It's kind of a weird story because I actually started my business when my husband was deployed, and my kids at the time were 6 months, 2 years old, and 3 years old. So like the worst time possible to start a business, honestly. But it was also like so very needed because I just needed something to focus on that wasn't like, man, I wish my husband were here. So it was very helpful in that aspect. We were also staying with my parents, so I had a lot of support there. So yes, somewhat terrible timing, but also somewhat good timing.
That had to have been a very challenging time.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 kids. They're currently 2.5 and 5.5, but I couldn't imagine like doing it essentially as a single mom. It's just, and then starting a business on top of that, definitely must have been a stressful time. But seems like
it was interesting.
yeah. Many of our listeners are pregnant and feeling overwhelmed by everything they need to do before taking maternity leave. So what advice do you have for our listeners?
I know this sounds horrible, but I promise we can make it easier than it sounds, but planning ahead as much as you can. But do it in like baby steps, because you don't want to like expect that you'll be able to like sit down and like actually create like 3 months of content at once or something. But if you already have a plan for like what generally is happening in your business. Like if you're going to be still working or putting everything on pause or like just sending out like some nurturing emails, whatever it is. If you have that much, you can start to create a content plan around that. And you certainly don't have to post like every day or anything. You can just do a couple times a week so you're still like in the minds of your followers and your audience and stuff. But planning ahead makes all the difference.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that my listeners are going to really appreciate hearing that they don't have to post every day, because I do think there's that pressure of, we need to stay visible, and that requires posting, 7, maybe even more times per week. So thank you. That's definitely reassuring that you could still grow without posting every day. So
Absolutely.
how do you recommend, if you're batching content ahead of time? Because I know like even I go through this where I want to keep up with like trends and things like that, but it's difficult to do because a lot of times you have to be creating content in the moment. So when you're batching, how can you kind of still make the content relevant?
So I have like a general content plan for every month. And then every week I'll sit down and either create carousels or static posts. And then I'll usually save a couple for reels so I can like quickly hop on and like see what's trending and just do a few because they are good for like a lot of visibility and showing your personality and getting engagement, but not every post has to be a reel. So you can do like a balance so you can schedule more out ahead of time without having to constantly check your phone and like scroll for inspiration and like find what's trending right now.
That's a really great approach. Yeah, just kind of doing a mix of both. Because you're right, because even the stuff that I post, I don't always use trends, so
Mhm.
that stuff can certainly be planned and batched ahead of time.
Another good way to do that is have a bunch of B-roll ready to go, and you can reuse it multiple times, but then you don't have to worry about like either when you're pregnant or postpartum and you're just not feeling like you want to be on film. You have a ton of stuff. You can just find a trend, apply your B-roll in whatever text and caption, and just hit send.
That's great. A great strategy. Yeah, I've been trying to do that myself because you have those days where you're like, oh, my hair came out all right today, and it's like I should take advantage of this and
Yes.
actually record some B-roll. And then I have those other days where I'm like, today I'm gonna record, and then like my kids wake up sick or whatever, and it's just like, or I just look awful. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, today's not the
This
day.
is this is not the day.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Very good. Do you have, do you recommend doing like talking head reels? Do you think that that is a really effective strategy as well?
I think that really depends on your audience. If you've done them in the past and they work, that's great. They're very hit or miss for me personally, but I have clients whose accounts I manage and they do really well for them. So I think it's really going to be testing it out and seeing what your audience prefers. But I will recommend if you do talking head reels to make sure that you start with a really strong hook to grab attention because those first 5 seconds of any reel are so important. And then also doing lots of cuts in there. They don't have to be like super high tech, like edited, but lots of cuts are just like this subconscious way to keep the watchers like brains like focused on the reel. So they watch the whole thing, which increases your watch time, which tells the algorithm to send it to more people.
That totally makes sense. And with those cuts, is it just simply, cutting out the quiet
Yeah, that's
spots
all.
or the breaths? Okay, cool.
Yep, that's all it has to
Nothing
be.
extra. Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. And I think I saw Instagram has a new feature where there's like a button where you can just kind of cut out the silences. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm
Neither have I.
curious
Hey.
if,
Yeah, I haven't tried it either, but I'm interested.
yeah, me too. Now, do you recommend having kind of a mix of different types of posts like carousels, static images, reels, or kind of just sticking with one particular type?
I like having a mix personally because even though you have like your niche, there's going to be different buyer types and like different personalities within your niche, and they're going to like different kinds of stuff. So do I know reels, like trending reels do well for me and carousels mostly do well for me. I can check my insights and see what is getting more reach, what is getting more engagement. And I just kind of focus on those so I don't have time to waste. I'm sure your listeners don't either. So I'm not wasting time on things that like I know aren't going to do as well. So check your insights and see, but there you can usually notice a pattern of what specific kinds of posts do well and then just keep on keeping on with that.
That's great. And speaking of insights, what metrics should we be focusing on and really paying attention to?
hmm It kind of depends what your goal is. So if you are in like a growth stage where you just are, maybe you're starting out or your followers, your current followers maybe aren't your target audience, look at things that are getting shares and follows. If your focus right now is connecting with your audience so that you're kind of nurturing them on the way to making sales, focus on posts that have lots of comments and saves. And then the ones, if you are like selling, focus on the ones that are you're either getting DMs from or are also getting comments. If you're using calls to action, like comment this keyword and I'll send you the link, like those kinds of things.
Okay, great. That, and I'm actually currently doing your Planet Post-it Profit Challenge right now. And that's actually making a lot of sense to me because I'm on day 3 currently. So yesterday I kind of went through like the 5 steps to
Mhm.
sales framework. So now I'm starting to kind of think of my content like in a very different way than I had prior. So I just have to say to all of my listeners, do check out her challenge. It has been really eye-opening for me, and I'm kind of just looking at things differently. So thank you for putting that together.
Of course.
What is the number one Instagram mistake that you see women making that is just like draining their time and energy?
It's a really good one. Um, I think focusing too much on trends. So I see like when I scroll, I see a ton of people who will share like, oh, try out these viral hooks or use this trend in this way, which can be really helpful. But just doing it for the sake of trying to get more visible isn't helpful if there's no strategy behind it. Because you could go viral and have it be like in the complete wrong niche. Or you could have it go viral and it doesn't actually get you like comments or sales or anything. So then it's not helpful and it's a waste of time. So if you're constantly hopping on those trends, like hoping to gain some kind of traction, it would be a good time to like check out your insights, figure out what your current goal is, and think about what you need to reach it and get a little bit more strategized.
I think I sometimes fall into that trap of trying to just like do the trends and whatnot. And I'll be like, oh, wow, I got a lot of views, but then I'm not really getting the followers from that or the engagement that I'm really looking for. So I can see how that could be a little bit of a
Yeah.
trap.
And it's like so easy to fall into because the validation from getting the extra views feels amazing. Like it's so nice and you feel like it pays off, but if it doesn't actually help your business, it's not that great. So having and I'm not saying like all trends are bad or anything either. They're lots of fun and they definitely have their value. It's just making sure you have the strategy behind it.
Yeah, I think I'm like learning, especially from your challenge, I'm learning like I really have been missing that strategy piece. And I think that's where I've been struggling most, when it comes to Instagram. So I keep talking about this challenge, but why don't you share with us a little bit more about this challenge and why our listeners should check it out?
Absolutely. So, like you said, it gets more into the strategy side of things, but it's also about planning content because the the biggest, like I said, is hopping on trend. The biggest mistake I see people make is hopping on trends without having a strategy when trends alone are not a strategy. So, um, and planning content is so important for mom business owners because who has less time than like a mom business owner, especially if you're planning for like maternity leave. So I kind of wanted to combine those two things. So it's a 5-day challenge. I did it in a podcast form. There's also emails, but I tried to make it as impactful and like short as possible because I know we don't have time to waste. So it goes over what to post and when and how to strategize a month of content basically because there's no one post that's magically going to get you a sale. All of your posts need to be working together so you can attract the right people, get them engaging, build the trust and connection, and then convert them into clients or buyers depending on what your offer is. So I take you through basically how to do that step by step, and it's free as well. So yeah.
Yes, please do check it out. We'll definitely link that in the show notes so you can go ahead and join the challenge. So, for a mompreneur who feels completely overwhelmed by Instagram, what's the simplest first step that they can take to start seeing results?
The first step I would say, if you haven't already, is just to get super clear on your audience and what they need to hear. So do market research first. You don't have to dive into any of the crazy Instagram like hacks or tips or tricks. They all mean nothing if you're not speaking to the right people.
And how do you recommend doing that market research?
Um, it kind of depends on like how much time you have. Calls can be really helpful, but I know there's might be like kids yelling in the background, so that might not be the best option. I do really short email surveys, and usually get a lot of responses to those. If you have an email list, you can just do like a quick Google form. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but the easier you can make it for people to respond, the more likely you will get responses. So think like yes or no questions, like either or options, not as many open-ended questions because people tend to not answer those as much.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've done both. I've done the calls, I've done the surveys. You definitely get more, I feel like you get more information with the calls because you're really having like the back and forth dialogue. But then you also get more responses with something like a survey. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
that balancing act. But I
You can
know
also
that,
do it.
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, you can also do it on Instagram stories. Like I've done it where I'll do like the poll question on stories. And you can get some good responses there. And you can also follow up with those people in DMs to ask more open-ended questions, which can be really helpful as well if you have an engaged audience.
That's a great strategy because you're also then like building connections with your followers as well while also doing market research. So that's great.
Yep.
So you talk about the importance of like flexibility and grace in both business and motherhood. Can you share a time when things didn't go as planned in your business and how you navigated that?
I feel like most days, honestly. I will like I'll set like intentions for the day and there's just always something that pops up like with the kids or so, like our schedules. I feel like anytime I even do like a podcast interview like this or have one on my own podcast, the kids will come in and interrupt. But thankfully I work with other moms and mom business owners who get it, so they don't care. But most of the time, it is just like daily scheduling type of stuff where I know like a lot of people recommend like time blocking to get things done, which sounds great in theory. I love it. But there's just always something. Especially my kids are have like high support needs a lot of the time. So I can't really lock myself away for a long period of time. I have to be there to help them with things. So there's definitely a lot of flexibility in there. Anytime I get a couple of minutes where they're playing nicely together to work, like I'm on it. I need that.
Yeah, just like opportunistic and
Exactly.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
and
why I like planning ahead works so well for me.
I'm sure and like staying ahead and whatnot because then you do have that opportunity to work and you don't want to waste that time going like, wait, what do I need to be working on right now? At least you know exactly what you need to be doing and you can optimize that time.
Yes, exactly.
And I must say, like, I cannot imagine running a business while also homeschooling your children. Like, how do you find, juggling both the homeschooling aspect as well as being a business owner?
It can be rough, and some days are certainly better than others. Like yesterday, we had like a jam-packed day with classes and swim lessons and all the things. So I got zero work done at all. Like I didn't even show up to Instagram or anything, but that's kind of motherhood and life, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it or anything. A lot of it is just kind of like letting go of these expectations that just do not align to me anymore.
Yes. And, speaking of like Instagram trends and whatnot, I've been seeing people post how, I forget exactly what they write, but like, I love when like 24-year-old influencers say that we all have the same 24 hours when as moms and business owners, we don't have the same 24
Absolutely do not.
hours.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I saw one, it was like a business coach being like, oh, you're a business owner with kids, just wake up before your kids. I'm like, my kids wake up like 4 times a night. I'm getting all the sleep I can.
I know. And like there are seasons where I can do that, where like, I don't miraculously, my kids are like mostly sleeping through the night and I can like get in an hour of work before they wake up. But last night, my son at 3:30 in the morning was like, this is a perfect time for me to just hang out in my room and practice talking. So that's what he did at 3:30.
Better time.
Of course. So I slept right up until 6 a.m. when my daughter started like screaming that she was awake and needed help with something. So
fun.
Yeah, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And we just roll with it and make the best of it.
Yep, exactly.
So what's like the one mindset shift or maybe like non-negotiable for you that allows you to kind of balance entrepreneurship with motherhood?
I would say like having to give myself a lot of grace. I feel like I know myself and a lot of other mom business owners that I've talked to, we have this kind of like perfectionist mentality. Like people pleasing and all of that, and working very hard to let go of that and realize like some days are going to be good. Some days, done is better than perfect. You just do what you can and just keep going. And it's fine if things get a little off course, especially if you work with other mom business owners, because they really do just completely understand.
Yeah, the more like mom business owners that I meet and interact with, like either on the podcast or even like clients, I'm noticing the same sort of thing where everyone just is like they're very understanding, which is just so nice because I hold myself to, like you said, that like perfectionist, like this very high expectation, like, oh, my kids can't make noise in the background, type of thing. But everyone gets it,
Yeah.
That's what's nice about working with mom business owners.
Yeah. I was venting to my husband the other day about like how I wasn't getting all these things done that I needed to. And I was like talking very negatively about myself. And my husband goes, wait, would you say that about me or one of your friends? If you wouldn't, like, don't say it to yourself. And that was like a really eye-opening thing. Like, wow, okay, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, we are so hard on ourselves. So, where can our listeners learn more about you and follow you and whatnot?
Absolutely. So as you might expect, Instagram is where I'm most active. So they can find me there. I am at socially.yours.strategist. My website is sociallyyours.biz. And then, yes, I will absolutely share the link to the Planet Post-it Profit Challenge as well. So you can take advantage of that.
Wonderful. Sydney, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so great.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Blissful Mompreneur podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a fellow mompreneur who might benefit from the advice. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps this podcast reach more amazing women just like you. Thank you again for being here, and until next time, keep pursuing your bliss.